Welcome one and welcome all, James Stephanie Sterling here, and the sun is setting on yet another ghastly year. It's the final Jimquisition of said year, and you know what that means? It's Garbage Day! Yes, I have a bevy of miserable video game titles for your grim, sick amusements. 10 horrible, shitty video games. You love it. Don't pretend that you don't. You love it. So without further ado, let's get cracking, shall we, you little subs? Yes. Take it away, a Skeletor.
Balan Wonderworld!
Balan Wonderworld is one of those games that utterly baffles me with its sheer existence. Quite how did Square Enix pick up something so clearly amateur, so threadbare as a game, something so completely and totally fucking shit? Balan Wonderworld is a 3D platformer so simplistic as to be considered perhaps a slight step above the most underdeveloped of Steam Early Access games. Why the fuck do the NPCs, which dance repetitively and creepily, disappear when you get near them? How does a game with such rudimentary graphics treat these characters as if rendering them near you would crush the game's performance? What truly confuses, however, is the price tag. Some would argue that price ought not to be included in game critique, but when you're charging AAA prices for something that you'd expect to find dossing around for a tenner on the Switch, you can't help but mention the $59.99 price tag. Mindless, half-broken platforming dross. The game is so basic and bare bones that I can only assume it was released as a fucking joke and prank, lying in wait for anyone foolish enough to buy it. Balan Wonderworld is a fucking goof at best, and all these months later I'm shocked it's actually a thing.
Samurai Warriors 5!
Now, Tecmo Koei's outright dicking laziness has truly become unforgivable. The company positions Samurai Warriors 5 as a reboot for the long-running hack-and-slash series, emphasis on hack. But like every time Tecmo Koei has claimed to reboot, it's merely an excuse to cut more corners for a franchise that has so few corners left to cut it's practically a fucking circle. The number of characters has been dramatically reduced, and to make matters even worse, the volume of cloned movesets is completely inexcusable. Even the game's main characters, such as Oda Nobunaga, have their movesets copied by not just one, but several characters. As you unlock new warriors, only disappointment can be found as yet another one fights exactly like one you already have. I don't believe there's an original playstyle to be found in a single character. I don't think so anyway. The Warrior series has long had a problem with repeated movesets, and while at times they've diversified their characters, they keep retreating to comfortable, repetitive territory. While Square Enix is becoming a hive of hack fuckery, Tecmo Koei is already there. Samurai Warriors 5 is even worse due to the promise of freshness and resets, but it was only a massive step backwards to the lackadaisical, low-effort trash of the series' worst entries.
Hentai vs. Evil!
Now, where to even begin with this fucking nonsense? A game that caught my eye due to its appearance on both the PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch, Hentai vs. Evil could generously be labelled a third-person shooter, but really the only objective is for the player to shoot cum out of their penis or vagina. I mean, you don't really shoot cum out of your vagina, but with a generous donation and some sort of high-pressure vacuum accessory, I suppose it's possible. I can only imagine the scenario would involve pipes, levers, and pulleys of such complexity as to confuse any onlooker. A Pube Goldberg machine, if you will. Fuck, that was a tenuous series of sentences just to say Pube Goldberg. Anyway, Hentai vs. Evil is basically at the level of a classic digital homicide game. It contains 3 small maps and only one real objective: shoot a bunch of shit to unlock half-naked anime girls with big fat asses and customizable boobs. About the only amusement to be had is in watching the game's hilariously embarrassing AI and pathfinding struggle to navigate such insurmountable objects as trees as they make a slow and pathetic attempt at beelining you. Otherwise, you have miserable and inaccurate aiming to contend with, truly hideous visuals, and mindless shooting action. Frankly, calling it action is so fucking charitable. I'm disgusted with myself for extending such generosity to such a shite game. There's nudity in the PC version, but it's not worth it. With an internet crammed full of hentai catered to every saucy interest, there's literally no need for a bargain basement cobbled together so-called video game where the meta objective is to be turned on by poorly animated, woefully unappealing, dead-eyed puppet girls. There are literally millions of better ways to have a goddamn wank.
Marvel Future Revolution!
Marvel Future Revolution was mentioned on Kotaku as the best mobile Marvel game. This isn't hard to achieve, as most mobile Marvel games are disgusting affairs crammed with loot boxes and other foul methods of milking money from a routinely scammed player base. Take Marvel Strike Force, for example, a self-playing minimum viable product that rips off Raid Shadow Legends, an equally self-playing minimum viable product. And wouldn't you know if Marvel Future Revolution is a self-playing minimum viable product? Fucking worm shit is what it is. Claiming to be an open world MMO, it's just another thoroughly brainless little action RPG in which you button mash without really thinking, or like any terrible exercise in mobile exploitation, set it and forget it. So pointless is the so-called gameplay that you can literally set it to automatic mode in its totality, automatically battle the endless swarms of mooks, even automatically walk from one objective to the next. Games like this aren't meant to be played, they're meant to draw cash from you in exchange for literally fucking nothing.
Outriders!
Fucking early access garbage.
BloodRayne Revamped!
BloodRayne Revamped is the first of 2 re-releases on this year's list. Can you guess the other one? While we usually try to avoid such titles, both entries are a special case due to how insultingly slapdash and broken they are. It seems barely anybody knew BloodRayne and BloodRayne 2 were even being remastered, and that's with good reason. These versions are fucking dreadful, and calling them remasters is simply inaccurate. The controls are as frustratingly dated as the original, with not one option providing anything like an experience comparable to the input seen in modernised action games. The graphics appear to be indistinguishable from the PC version, the one from years and years ago, and well, that's it really. It doesn't play any better, it doesn't look any better, it's just a basic port at best, and even worse, it's busted 6 ways to fuck day. The Switch version in particular is a goddamn horror show. It frequently freezes with a juddering sound effect, and it'll do this at any given moment, both during gameplay and cutscenes. Nowhere is safe from a completely random crash, and considering BloodRayne predates standardised checkpoints, you can lose a ton of progress as a result. And Ziggurat Games even has the fucking temerity, the sheer shitting gall, to sell BloodRayne and BloodRayne 2 separately for $19.99 a pop. Even at $20 for both of them, this would be far too fucking much, but at $40 it's a downright war crime. It's as if Margaret Thatcher never died and started releasing clapped out PS2 games. BloodRayne Revamped makes an excellent case for emulation. You can get superior, more stable versions of these titles for fucking free with a few little downloads. I do, in fact, heartily endorse emulating BloodRayne if you want to enjoy sucking the blood out of Nazis in an aggressively sexualized manner. Go on, treat yourself. You deserve it. Why is it so fucking hard to remaster shit lately?
Taishogun! Rise of Emperor!
Well, we couldn't escape a year without Gilson B. Pontus rearing his fucking ugly mug, could we? Actually, I have no idea if Gilson is ugly, and it wouldn't be fair to call him that at any rate. His games sure as fuck are, though, as is his cowardly, pathetic behaviour this year. In early 2021, Gilson attempted to kill my YouTube channel in what was almost a master stroke. He waited for me to have enough videos for him to copyright claim and resultingly terminate my channel. You see, if you get 3 consecutive copyright takedowns, YouTube gives gives you the axe. And this is what Gilson, surely seeing himself as a hero to fuckwad quasi-developers everywhere, went for. He managed to score a few takedowns, removing videos about his previous things with alarming ease, and YouTube originally upheld these claims, even while admitting that they were sketchy. YouTube did not, in fact, relinquish my videos until I stated for the record that I was preparing to defend myself in court and had already prepared my lawyer, which I genuinely had done. Yes, I have a lawyer. After all, I've been sued by one of these pathetic excuses for a development studio before. With YouTube surrendering in the face of potential legal defense, Gilson's plan had failed, but that didn't stop him making more failed attempts to remove videos critical of his fucking toxic waste. Anyway, Taishogun Rise of Emperor is dire. Another third-grade exercise in mashing buttons and failing to hit things with an inexplicable release on the PlayStation Store. See you next year, Gilson, you fucking prick.
Popeye!
Ah, Popeye, everybody's favourite gender-fluid sailor, and star of one of the most despicable, slovenly filth I've seen in quite some time. Based on the NES game of the same name, but somehow worse, Popeye is about the laziest game of the year, and that's a year that included Samurai Warriors 5. Taking place across 3 barren maps that also happen to be store-bought assets, the aim of the game is to run around picking up hearts or letters that love interest olive oil drops down from on high. As you do this, you're chased by Popeye villain Brutus and later a vulture and little bouncy skulls. That's it. That's the fucking game. The whole thing plays like a rip-off, like the developers either didn't have the license or were desperately trying to keep the license by squirting out a cheaply produced title with minimum effort just to prove they were using the intellectual property. The fact it's based on the NES game reads more like a fucking excuse than anything else, a weak and pathetic justification for making a game as skeletal as possible without any thought behind it. Wait a minute, I said skeletal? Scratch that, skeletons are cool. This is a clump of bone marrow at best. The fucking music is mind-numbing as it repeats on a short loop over and over and over. There's one attack that doesn't even work unless you eat spinach, and it barely has to connect to have any effect because nobody who coded this was competent or cared to be. God damn the fucking music! A disgusting waste of time and money. It'd be a scam at $1, let alone fucking 12.
Grand Theft Auto! Definitive Edition!
And here's the one you all knew was coming. Yes, although a release of PS2 era games, Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition deserves to rank amongst 2021's shittiest games. For being jizz trash. More fittingly compared to medical waste than to a video game, Grove Street Games' travesty of a so-called remaster is a sloppily taped together, bug-ridden mess. So half-baked is this miserable release. Vestigial code from the fucking 2000s that shouldn't even be there is somehow present, including developer notes, missing music, and evidence of the notorious hot coffee minigame that landed San Andreas in trouble back in the day. The game is riddled with brand new typos due to the automatic upscaling that couldn't read the original text in the environments. The reworked character models are, in my opinion, ugly. The visuals look fuzzy and unappealing overall, and it isn't even definitive. The original soundtracks have had music removed due to licensing issues, and a number of cheats have been disabled. The games are literally aren't definitive, unless the series is now defined by worthless cash grabs. Oh. The GTA trilogy, as released in 2021, is a laughing stock, with good reason. Hell, it wasn't even playable on PC for days after release due to the stupid Rockstar launcher not fucking launching. Even when that returned, the game had been pulled from sale while Rockstar removed the detritus code. A stunning display of Rockstar's unmitigated arrogance, evidence that the company believes it can vomit up any old guff and the marks will pay for it.
Pokemon Unite!
I have no problem describing Pokemon Unite as the absolute shittiest game of 2020. Designed by child predators, this sickening exercise in exploitation was expressly developed to target young people and extract cash from their parents' wallets. Inherently, it's a simplistic MOBA, repetitive, devoid of uniqueness, because increasingly, in this disgusting industry, crafting quality media is such a distant fucking second to manipulating money out of people that it might as well be in a different fucking reality. It's got 5 goddamn currencies to create the confusopoly that tricks people into making in-app purchases, with the premium currency being laid out like your common old god mobile game. Like all desperate cash grabs, it has a battle pass, because of course it does, gotta cram that FOMO in there too. It assaults the player with ads for purchasable items, it's grindy as shit, it's pay to win, it's sleazy and sinister, containing all the trappings of microtransaction-fueled fake economies. The fact this awful mobile game slimed its way onto the Switch only further sours the deal. I utterly hate Pokemon Unite and its vulturine antics. It furthers Nintendo's goal of pantomiming a family-friendly aura, while it increasingly leverages its family-friendly franchises to indulge in the same money-grubbing as any cynical AAA publisher across a range of sickening phone apps. Microtransactions are addictive, ableist, and evil-minded, and these are all things Pokemon Unite stands for. Fuck Pokemon Unite. It's a rapacious scam churned out by conscienceless dickheads, deserving only of scorn and revulsion. Yeah, not too fond of it, really. Well, that's that for another year. How horrible. Now we've got another one to look forward to, 2022. Jesus Christ, that's the problem with years. The moment one's done, the very second one's done, there's another one. You don't even get a break. So 2022 is approaching with all the threat that brings, and I dread to think what the video game industry has for us over the next 12 months. It's gonna be horrible probably, because the industry is just never quitting. Until then, you can all thank God for me like you do, because you do. Yeah.